Good afternoon from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. It's Saturday, the 8th of November 2025, and the time is 3:37 p.m. I'm a bit stressed. I've decided to come and sit out in the garden with a nice cup of tea and some Aldi chocolate, which is quite nice chocolate actually. Because I've been working on a commissioned piece for my friend, and I've been struggling with it. I got it to solder down, but then the stone wouldn't fit for some reason, which is odd because it fitted before I soldered it down. Shouldn't have been that much shrinkage. So I've spent the last hour freaking the fuck out, but I've been carefully sanding inside the bezel to massage it and get it to fit, because if it doesn't fit it will crack the stone and the whole thing will be a disaster, and I'm absolutely terrified. I'm suffering from imposter syndrome, and my generalized anxiety is through the roof, and I can almost not breathe because I don't want to make a hash of it and mess it up. I want it to be lovely, and as it is, it's going to be a bit rustic. Oh dear goddess. And Belinda's trusted me with it, and she loves me. She does love me. I know why she's done this. She wants to inspire me to carry on with my silversmithing journey and to make a proper go of it. But just doing one piece can be so anxiety provoking. Even when I make for myself, like when I made that cuff, that was a lot of failures and took 2 months to complete. So I ended up spending a lot of money on that cuff because I had to redo and buy more fine silver and more things. And so my anxiety is I can't really afford to make a mess of this piece and have to keep redoing because literally can't afford it. Even though she is paying me, it's I could not possibly charge her for my constant failures. This is the thing about jewellery, is it's anxiety provoking when it's not your own money that you're using to waste resources and effort. So I thought I'll sit in the garden and I'll do something that I can do. It doesn't cost anything but time and my breath and my talking out loud or reading out loud. And I'll carry on with reading Elliot Perlman's 7 Types of Ambiguity. I had a wonderful time dancing last night. I haven't had a lot of sleep, so I woke up feeling quite energized at 9 o'clock this morning after only 4.5 hours sleep, which is unusual because usually if I have little sleep I'm just a zombie. But I'm travelling well, I'm doing well, probably bordering a kind of a hypomania from lack of sleep and having worked hard at that bezel today. It's, what time did I say? 3:37, and I started on it about 10:30, 11. I started on it, and failed and had to go in and resolder it. So I wrote about it on Facebook. It's sort of, you're all on this journey with me, watching me learn new skills and achieve some kind of bloody basic competency, if not proficiency, and it's terrifying. Well, I'm self-taught and I don't have an apprenticeship. I would have been fired if I had an apprenticeship anyway because I failed so magnificently. So I just have to let me just take a moment, center myself. Breathe in, breathe out. Let shit go, am I right? Let shit go. I do feel better after that deep breath. I might do another one. Sometimes it really you just need, if you're an asthmatic like me, you just need a little bit of intensive oxygenation, darlings. I've been a zombie all my life, but one day I'll be a fully rejuvenated zombie, and I call myself revivified, but there's some days that I just slump back into that acopism and learned helplessness and abject fucking terror. But I have people who believe in me and love me and trust that I will produce something, some kind of beauty out of all of this. Somehow. Oh, and my friend Belinda will be happy to hear I've continued with my plying. So I've got 2 fleeces ready to be washed that have been plied, and another one that I've almost finished plying. I had to stop plying. I was really going for it. I was in the zone. I was doing well when it was time to go dancing, so I had to stop for that. And so I'll finish that sometime this evening, I think. About 3 handmade fleeces with varying degrees of success, because again it's a new skill that I've got to get proficient at and get the feel of and get the right, amount of twisting. Anyway, my birdie boys are happy I finally joined them outside. I think they were a bit lonely out here. The weather's on the turn. It's got windier than it was when I put them out, but they're okay. Cools the air down, doesn't it, my love? Yes, it cools the air down for you. You're such a good birdie. And your brother's busily preening himself. And your mother's trying to remember to breathe the rarefied air of success. Well, I'm behind everyone, starting all of this, trying to upgrade myself and evolve myself at age 60 and a half. But I started this when I was 55, which I realised it's all culminated around about the Saturn return. So it's been intense, it's been emotional, it's been weird. 5 years of that Saturn return. We also had simultaneously the COVID epoch. It's been terrifying, it's been chilling, it's been non-compass bloody mentis, and I've been trying to keep my own shit together in the midst of all of that. I think, you know what? I am a success. I did the unbelievable thing of my life. Under extraordinary pressure from my own government, I held my line. I'm a raging bloody success, if only at saving myself sometimes. Sometimes, people of Earth. What you looking at me for like that, Kermie? I'm not giving you any chocolate. Chocolate's poisonous to birds. Go and eat some fruit. Go be a real birdie and eat your fruit. He says, I am, Mama. I'm just watching you eat chocolate. It's amazing. I do love chocolate. You know what? I actually needed that. Right. Bye. He's just sitting, observing. Right, let us begin. I've just got to chew a few more hazelnuts before I continue, because bit hard to read out loud and chew hazelnuts at the same time, people of Earth. I can get away with it with the sesame snaps, but big lumpy things in your mouth that you could choke on is a bit of a worry. Some of you come here probably to watch me chew and read and walk and talk and twitter at my birds and talk about my failures and talk about my few successes and moan about my weird life and sometimes triumphantly foul or gloat about my wondrous life. And it swings and roundabouts at Sacred Space. It's always been that way. It's a hurdy-gurdy ride, even for me. Sometimes it gets too hurdy for the gurdy and I just have to crawl into bed, but I haven't done that for a while. I've been good, people of Earth. I've been handling life. Right, I've dropped my tea, I've eaten my chocolate, I've shared my silversmithing journey. Now let us read chapter 8. The smell of disinfectant is everywhere. It burrows into my skull and eats away at the very idea of me. How am I meant to breathe? Synchronicity, people of Earth. Perhaps I'm not. Bo's playing with his new toy I gave him. You playing with your toy, Bo? You playing? Excuse me. Tell the people of Earth about your mad mother, how she went out in the Rantan-tan last night, danced the fandango, came home at 3 o'clock in the morning, made a lot of noise. Yes, there we go, he's playing. What a good boy you are. You're such a good boy. You're a raging success at being a little cockatiel. Did you know that? Yes, Mama T. All I have to do is be a birdie and show up and stay up and I'm doing fine. And so am I. Right. It was Gina. Whoops, we're a bit out of alignment now. There we go. It was Gina who persuaded Alex to stop trying to get me to see Angelique. In fact, Gina insisted that I not see her. She was horrified to learn that I had even seen her once. Angelique was a prosecution witness who could herself be charged, and this, Gina argued, made Angelique, at least potentially, a very dangerous. Neither Alex nor I had ever thought of her that way. Gina didn't know her, but she said prudence required that we assume the worst with respect to her. It was possible Angelique could testify to a conversation we'd allegedly had in prison. I've got to figure out why that keeps turning sideways. No, it's fine. She could say that I had told her what to say to the police or in court. Oh, I've got a terrible pain now. What's that from? Anxiety. Remind me to breathe. It's going to be a beautiful pendant. Belinda's going to love it. Everything's fine. Mama T has spoken. Mama T's capable of great things. She just has to fight against her own atrophies, fears and traumas, which are immense, by the way. I've been fighting against them for decades, and sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. It's why I exist on a disability pension, people of Earth. Not quite on the same level of achievement as other people my age. It's a bloody tragedy, quite frankly. But I had a lot happen to me that set me to the point of absolute non-existence. So I'm doing well. I'm doing very well. She could say that I had told her what to say to the police or in court. Alternatively, she could say that I'd threatened her or bribed her to change her testimony. It would be difficult enough with Anna refusing to corroborate my story. As far as Gina was concerned, no good could come of me seeing Angelique again. The woman was a young prostitute. She was extremely vulnerable to intimidation by the police. Why have these turned backwards? They might even persuade her to wear a wire. Who knows what deals she made. Alex was the one that needed convincing. I had not wanted to see Angelique. He'd been insistent to the point of anger that I did. 'Twas the more pronounced because he had never come close to anger with me over anything, not even over me taking Sam. That day in one of the conference rooms in the visit centre, when Gina laid down the law with respect to Angelique, I just sat there and listened. But Alex argued with her. It became a little heated. Gina, I understand what you're saying, but you don't know her. I don't need to know her. I'm giving Simon my professional opinion. He can disregard it if he chooses, but why would he want to give her more opportunity to fabricate something? Gina, she's completely devoted to him. She's just a vulnerable young girl. Fine, that only makes her more susceptible to pressure. Gina, she was good to him at a very difficult time. Alex, who knows what she'll say? The more he sees her, the more rope they get. You can't give the prosecution a windfall like this, not another one, especially when there's no need to. You haven't seen her the way she is. Alex, there's no forensic need for him to see her. My job is to get him out. I don't care if he marries her once he's out, but right now he doesn't have the luxury of worrying about her feelings. Simon, you know I'm right, she said, turning to me. I'm not arguing, I said quietly. Alex, he's not arguing. It's his decision, his life, his girlfriend. No, we were just friends, really. Strictly speaking, Alex, this isn't even any of your business. It concerns his defence. You shouldn't even really be here. I can leave, Alex said, standing up. No, stay. I want him here, I shouted at Gina, but she wouldn't stop. It's just wasting time, this. Your relentless advocacy on behalf of that woman. Why do you do it? Maybe we should take a break or something, I volunteered. That's a good idea, she sighed, looking at her watch. I need to call home. Everything all right? Alex couldn't help himself asking, but she had closed the door before she could answer. You all right, my little boys? The weather's on the turn. I know, I can tell by how agitated you're getting. But it might be a while before it gets nasty, boy chick. So we'll just calm our farm and enjoy the garden. Yes, because it's lovely and cool now. It's hotter when I put them outside earlier. I put them out about 1:15, 1:30ish, around about that time. When we were alone, I told him that I had to agree with her. I just couldn't risk it. I wouldn't agree to see Angelique. But I suggested and regretted it, even before he could respond. Perhaps he would stay in touch with her. Perhaps he could look out for her. Good boy. Do you want me to try to keep her on side? He asked. Well, Simon, he began quietly, partly in anger and partly in despair. I'm your psychiatrist, and against the best interests of at least one of us, I have become your friend. I am not your pimp. Against whose best interests was it that Alex had crossed the line and ceased to be purely my therapist? Indeed. He had become a friend, maybe even a little of a father figure, who also just happened to be a psychiatrist. We had both known this for a long time, but as a friendship, it was plainly unequal. In what way had I ever helped him? Before I took Sam to my place, before my incarceration, we would often have long conversations that seemed to have nothing to do with me, at least nothing to do with Anna, my past, my family, or my mental health. We would discuss the news, politics, history, his concern about disturbing tendencies in healthcare. I would hold forth on literature and recommend movies and even music. We traded ideas and shared enthusiasms, but the friendship was always unequal when it came to our personal histories. I still know very little about his past or his private life, about his children. My glasses fogged up. Oh, that's better. Or about the breakdown of his marriage. And since coming here, it has become even more unequal. My long-time emotional palette of shades of melancholy has degenerated into a kaleidoscope of raw extremes in which I flirt briefly but intensely with paranoia, anger, self-pity, self-doubt, and a sense of hopelessness. Oh, don't we all, darling? Maybe I'm starting to identify too much with this character. I have never kidnapped a child, and never would I do such a terrible, terrible thing. But anyway, to assault Alex with one of these moods whenever he comes to see me is not what one does to a friend. It is what one does to a psychiatrist. And you know, even I've become conscious at times that sometimes I overburden my psychiatrist. Like, I'm actually really happy for him that he's on holiday, or has been on holiday, and went to, where did he go? Sicily. Because it's good for him, and he's a hard-working man, and he's a human being, and he carries a lot of emotional burdens from all his patients. And he says he's strong and can take it, and that's all fine and dandy, but when a man needs a fucking holiday, he should be able to go and enjoy himself and relax and forget about work and actually be his own integrated personage. And I'm happy that he got to do that. I'm also ever so slightly jealous that I can never afford to go on holidays myself, you understand, but I'm not jealous of my doctor or my friends that go on these wonderful trips around the world. Not really. You know, they work hard and they've achieved, and if I had enough money, it's my dream that I would have wanted to travel to all the sacred sites and tourist destinations all around the world too, you know, but for that you need millions now people are there. But I'm happy for my doctor and my friends who get to, you know, experience life and all its wonder and travel and see new and unusual vistas, and it's mind opening and expansive, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. I just do my armchair travelling and sometimes struggling with trauma activations by reading books. But it's funny how art imitates life, and in every story I've read to you, there's been a theme or characters that I've been able to identify, sometimes a little bit too much, and I've had to pull myself back and ground myself and realise that the human condition affects everyone in similar ways, but also in extraordinarily different ways, and people react differently and according to our cultural backgrounds or our cultural programming or upbringings. It can be amazing how two people can have the same experience, sometimes quite awful experiences, but have different coping mechanisms or different ways of framing it that takes slightly the edge off it, I guess. Well, here's my beautiful boy. You is a beautiful bird. You're happy? He's so happy because it's cooler. He's enjoying himself, aren't you, Kermie? Yes. His visit saw the evolution of a minor ritual. After greeting each other, the first thing he would do was ask me about the hours since he had last seen me. How were they spent? How did I get through them? How had he slept? You know, he's actually a wonderful friend and psychiatrist because he genuinely cares and takes an interest. I guess it's all part of the training, you know, of being a psychiatrist, but it just shows a real kind of sense of validation and care, and that he worries about how terribly being in that prison. Yes, my darlings, we're definitely going to get a bit of a storm later. It's brewing up one. It's brewing up beautifully, boy chicks. It is. Although sometimes not just sometimes, but very often, they pass us by in Holland Park. Other areas of Brisbane sometimes cop it really, really severely, and we'll just be lucky to get even a smattering of rain or wind. It's very odd. I wonder what that's about. I've been observing it in the last couple of years, how how storms by and large have just blown out or smashed other areas. It's odd, very odd. Right. And while he was asking, I would be apologising abjectly for some outburst the previous day or even days before, and I really was sorry. I couldn't be more sorry. Alex was about the only good thing my father had led me to, the only friend I had in the world. He was my family now. Even Angel, whatever her motives, had turned on me. I had engineered the situation myself with an act that was as irrational as it was futile, and as a result, I was more alone than ever. There was absolutely no one else to hear me except Alex. I was not myself anymore. Or else I was too much myself. The relationship, initially of therapist and patient, and then of inquiring minds in the service of lacerated souls, had turned full circle. Something about me had helped to attract Alex from some deep, black, lacrimatory hole that hid within him. But not anymore. Now the help was all one way, and he had to drive out to Laverton to give it. The Turk had gone crazy, that was the word around, and the word would always reach me somehow, often in the gap under the door, along with the smell of disinfectant. He had smashed in the cheekbone of some other prisoner. Some said the prisoner had taunted him about his wife. Others that he had just repeated something one of the guards had said. Some said the wife was sleeping with a lodger. Others that she was sleeping with men for money. The Turk had been confined to his cell. It was for a week. It was for 2 weeks. Wherever the truth lay, Nazim the Turk's wife was appearing less and less at the visit centre. And who knows, the woman you love may stop loving you. Don't say it's no big thing. It's like the snapping of a green branch to the man inside. Chapter 9. Then why doesn't she come? It's not that she doesn't care. If she cared, she'd come. It's hard for her. It's harder for me. She'll never stop caring about you, but she's ashamed, isn't she? Admit it, Dad. You both are. It's obvious. Well, I'd be lying to say we're proud. You always had to be. We knew you were always different. You had to be different. I don't know where it, certainly not from me. It's the papers, the stories in the papers. It's very hard for her. She hides from people she knows, hides in the supermarket when she sees someone she knows, goes from aisle to aisle. It's very hard for her and your brothers. They send you their kids have been teased, at school. Dad, the worst thing I did was to have an affair with a married woman, and not just any married woman. It was Anna. You both know her. You liked her. She asked me to pick up her son from school one day. The arrangements got confused and the relationship was found out. She's been unhappily married for years. Oh, excuse me. End of story. End of burps. Dear goddess. Class C. Now, I'll never be a supermodel. As if that was ever on the cards, since I'm a short, fat hobbit, but you know, and I'm old now. Thank the goddess that I'm old and I don't have any of those aspirations to live up to. I'm dreaming impossible dreams like the dream of true love, people of Earth. I'm glad I'm old and I've even given up on that. It's a little bit of a lie though. Haven't completely given up. Like, I'm not dead yet. It's a bit hard when you've been a love addict. And it's a hard habit to kick. You keep hoping, you know, that one day you'll meet the one. They'll meet you and they'll think you're the bee's knees and you'll think he's the king to your queen. And you'll live happily ever after, just like a fairy story. And it's not exactly real life, is it, people of Earth? Someone has to go to work and turn $1, and someone has to do the drudgery of keeping a home, you know, held together, and cooking and cleaning and fucking lawn mowing, which is due again. And someone has to do the argy-bargy and keep a man satisfied, and some man has to keep his woman satisfied, and all that, and all I ever got was ain't got no satisfaction. Well, I would have been satisfied if they'd endured and been loyal and faithful and fucking trustworthy with my heart, body, mind and spirit. Smallest violin, no. Even 1,000 small violins are not enough to make up for that. 1,000,000 orchestral tubas and bassinet. Bassinet? No. Bassoons. Where I get bassinet from? Still dreaming of being a grandmother, you understand. Bassoons and cellos and gigantic chorus across the multiverses. Mama T wants her man, and if the gods allow it, her grandchildren. I'm such an idiot. But you know, my eldest turned 40 2 days ago. So it's not completely impossible. It's just highly unlikely given the times we live in. And she's a single woman too, and I want to cry when I think about it, so I mustn't think about it, people of Earth. I have many children out in the world, little projects and little energy impulses that I pour into my friends and my birdies, my garden, my gods. Yes, my darlings, magical thinking gets me through my day sometimes. Have to excuse me. Sometimes it's all I've got left is my rather pathetic magical thinking. But you know, I was surrounded again in so much love last night at the Brooklyn Standard. I arrived a bit earlier and I got to see the last part of the third set of the Mike Beale Band, and Tim Bishop, their bass player, was very happy to see me, and we became friends, you know, when he was playing for Juddy when Juddy was off sick. And very kind man, him and his wife, lovely people, kind people. And he just looked at me and nodded, and he said to me when the gig ended, he said, "I haven't seen you for a while, Tanya." And I said, "No, I've been meaning to come to the Mike Beale Band and support you, Tim, because you know, you're a wonderful musician. But I said, I just haven't made it. And I only caught the last, you know, the tail end of tonight's gig. But I said, I'm happy to see you still strutting your stuff, Tim. And he's a wonderful musician and a wonderful man. And he gave me a hug, and you know, it's like having kids, but they're not my kids. They're other people's kids, you know what I mean? And they're not all that younger than me. Like, some of them are 16 years. I mean, Ness is 16 years younger, so only a few years older than my eldest daughter. But, you know, some of them are like pushing 50, so, you know, 10 years younger than me, 12 years, and not a lot younger than me. But I just have this kind of mama-tea, matriarchal kind of big love for them all. And, you know, because it's been such a terrible time we've lived through in the last 5 years, and we all need to feel loved and nurtured and part of a community and have a sense of belonging. And it's very beautiful and meaningful when I can see, you know, the friends that really are happy when I come out and strut my stuff and do my performance art and my wild dance. And I can see that they appreciate me joining in the fun and the music and the wildness and in good, clean, heartfelt ways, you know. It was just, oh, the lorikeet's here. I have to go and give him some food. Hang on a minute. He's been coming a lot lately. Here's the other one. Hello, boys and girls. Are you hungry? Would you like your food? Are you waiting for your food, my loves? Here it comes. It's coming. You're going to fly away because you're scared of me, aren't you? Yes, I know. Here you go. Here's your food, boys. Good boys. Huh. They let me get quite close before they flew up into the tree. I've put the food out now. They're very happy. They'll come back when they can see that I'm not being threatening. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yes. Saying how wonderful it was, you know, the affection and the sweetness. Ness gave me a kiss on my cheek, and Juddy gave me a hug, and when I left I just blew them all kisses, because at the end of the night I'm exhausted. You know, it's a lot of energy output for a older woman who's not all that well, and never has ever been all that bloody well, if truth be known. But gee, you know, when we fly together, we fly joyously, and I'm so impressed with them, with the energy they have, being, well, I suppose younger than I, but, you know, also seasoned professionals. And we built up energy by the third set. Juddy was dancing vigorously, and Ness was dancing happily and singing, and Luke was banging away at that drum as he always does with great passion, and Nathan was playing guitar, and we were all so happy, and the crowd was joyful and happy and wild. And some lovely young man came and danced beside me for a little while. He was very sweet. And I even met a couple. There's a singles group that comes there regularly, and so when a couple of men from the singles group asked me if I was in the singles group, and I said no, I'm a lone ranger. They just looked at me. And then my standard joke is I don't like to belong to any club that will have me as a member, which is Groucho Marx. But it's true. The minute I join, you know, organisations or clubs, it invariably turns toxic, and so I just float in and out and not actually be a card carrying member of anything or anywhere, and be a lone ranger. It's be the Mustang Quay, the wild horsewoman, gallop in, do my wild dance, gallop back out again. It's good fun, and you know, I had a wonderful time. Right, now, chapter 9. Lorikeets are eating, so I'm pondering over that. Chapter 9. We're already into chapter 9. What am I saying? Continuing on with chapter 9. Right, we were at the part where he's rationalised his bad behaviour with a bit of a lie and said that she's been unhappily married for years. End of story. No, it's not the end of the story. Do you think we're idiots? Why won't she admit it? She should. I think she will. Simon, are you mad, stupid, or blind? It's been months. She's not going to admit anything. You always had ideas above your station. What the hell does that mean? Do you think she's going to leave her husband for you? She didn't want you back then. Fuck you. Yes, that's right. Fuck me. Fuck everyone with a good job, with a marriage, with prospects. We never understood anything, did we? Only you did. You read poetry and look down on all the rest of the world, on your brothers and on me, and now look at you. You've made your bed. I didn't look down on Mum. I was the only one. Why won't she come? Your mother tried. Tried what? She tried to get Anna to tell them what you want. What did she do? What happened? It wasn't something she'd talked about, at least not with me. Hello, handsome boy. You eating? Yes. I don't know where she got the idea, what put it in her head. She phoned there a couple of times. Must have looked up the number in the book. She said she knew the name from the newspaper reports. A woman answered, an older woman with an accent, a foreign accent. Well, your mother had to hang up each time. Hearing that woman's voice just broke her up. She figured that it had to be the boy's grandmother, Anna's mother, and she started to imagine how it would feel having your grandson kidnapped. I guess she would have put herself in that woman's position, imagining it was one of her grandchildren, one of ours. I can imagine how it affected her, hearing the grandmother's voice just saying, hello. She didn't give her a chance to say more than that before having to hang up. She was empathising with the housekeeper. What? Anna's mother was born here. That was the housekeeper she was talking to. Well, she didn't know that. I don't think we ever met them, did we? I don't think so. No, of course not. We would have if you'd married her, I suppose. So what happened? She stopped calling, didn't want to be a nuisance. That's it? That's what she did? No. She did more than that. She got their address out of the phone book. Oh my God. She was thinking of you, Simon. I know. There's much to be thankful for. Look, it was hard enough on her when that other little boy was taken. What other little boy? The other one, the Italian one. Carlo? The one you were meant to be in charge of. Carlo. His name was Carlo. I was his teacher. Terrible business for her when that was in all the papers. Yes, it must have been impossible for her. That's what you're good for, isn't it? Always been good for smart-ass remarks, sarcasm, and rudeness. What happened? She probably blames me. No, I mean, what did she do with their address? Did she go there? Yes, she went there, drove there herself. As I say, she didn't say anything to me about it. She would have looked up how to get there in the Melways, I suppose. Yes, I suppose so. She parked the car. It's not far, really. Lovely house, she said. They've done well. I know the house. Yes. She went to the front door and rang the doorbell. She waited for a long time and nobody answered. Maybe there was nobody home. I feel like I'm sitting on a powder keg, like on the brink of some tumultuous great change. It's because of the storm, isn't it? I've got what they say in Yiddish, spilkers in my tuchus, ants in my pants. But yes, there's a powerful energy just building and building and building and building and just waiting to go. Bop, bop. Maybe there was nobody home. She said there was a car in the garage. The garage door had been left open and she could see. What happened? Is that it? She rang the doorbell again after a while. You're drawing this out. Why are you deliberately drawing this out? I'm not doing any such thing. You're so quick to jump. You have to imagine how difficult this must have been for your mother. Eventually, someone opened the door. Probably the housekeeper. No, it was a man. Your mother asked for Anna. He said she wasn't there. It was the middle of the day. She said he looked terrible, unshaven, red eyes, still in his bathrobe. She should have turned and run. He asked if there was any message. She said no, there was no message. He was closing the door when she said she was Mrs. Haywood. He opened the door again, just to be polite, your mother says, because apparently he didn't place the name immediately. She took a breath and repeated it. He asked if she had an appointment to see his wife, and he told him. And she told him. She had to tell him that she was your mother. He looked at her and, you know what? He invited her in. She walked into their house. How could you possibly doubt her feelings? He took her into the kitchen, and you know what he did? No. He offered her a cup of tea. She accepted. He made her a cup of tea, and while she was making it, she started to cry. Oh my God. She apologized to Anna's husband. His name is Joe. I know. She apologized to him for the whole mess. She said that she'd been very upset. She asked after his parents. His father is dead, but his mother is alive. She doesn't live far from them either. Either what? What? You said she doesn't live far from them either. What does that mean? Don't snap at me. That's all I need. I meant, didn't Anna's parents live near there too? Yes, they did. Yes, you see. Although this house, it's in the Golden Mile, isn't it? I know where it is. What happened? He said his mother was very upset by what happened. Said she's very close to her grandson. Your mother looked around the room and complimented him on the house. She asked what he did for a living. He said he was a stockbroker. He said he was on leave. Stress leave, she asked. He said it was something like that, and she apologised again. She tried to defend you. She told him, quite wrongly in my opinion, how close the two of you and Anna had been when you were students. She told him how much we had liked Anna. She said that, wrong as it was easy to imagine two people, exes, meeting up somewhere by chance and then something developing. She said she wanted to apologise for the pain the two of you had caused. She told him that you say you had permission to take the boy. He stood up when she said this. She put her tea down. His tone had changed. She became a little afraid. I can't believe she did this. She hadn't intimated to me she was going to. What happened? Well, you can't blame the man. I can. She comes into his house. What happened? He was angry, insulted, no doubt. He told her that her son and the prostitute girlfriend had kidnapped his son and were going to demand a ransom. He told your mother that her son was depraved and that the whole family was going through hell. He took her to the door, saying that he thought she should leave. He asked her if she'd come there wanting something from him. She said she hadn't meant to offend him. At the door, he said he didn't have any money. She shouldn't make assumptions about the house. All he had, he said, was his son. He told her to tell you that he hoped they throw the book at you. She was in a terrible way when she got home. She wasn't even going to tell me she'd gone there, but she was in such a state when I got home from golf, it all tumbled out. To bring you in soon, birdie boys. It's getting darker and stormier looking. Chapter 10. I remember growing up in my parents' house, being aware of all sorts of ornate, delicate stuff stacked or leaning on every conceivable surface. Figurines, crockery, cake knives, lace tablecloths and lace napkins, silver sugar tongs, silver teapots, coffee plungers and brocaded tea trays, none of which we ever used. Sounds familiar. The opulence of the 80s, 70s and 80s. Got particularly opulent in the 80s though. Hedonistic, and I think that was the beginning of Agenda 25, or now Agenda 30. It was all implemented back then, while everyone was soaking in hedonism and stock market racketeering and crashes. Selfish people, selfish, greedy people. But nothing really changes, does it? Every generation has its selfish, greedy, corrupt people. Sometimes there's a few good eggs amongst them too. It's not all misery people are bad. Got to hold on to those few glimpses of gorgeousness. Right. They were for occasions, circumstances, modes of being that my family never seemed to encounter. From the earliest times I remember the stuff accumulating, congregating around us, crowding us. I remember it always being in the way of the things we actually used to prepare and soothe the food we really ate. Reaching into the cupboard for a plate my mother had bought as part of a slightly damaged set from Dimmies, a set we were allowed to use. I had to crouch down and peer into the dark of the cupboard and be careful that my hand, my wrist, weaved between the vases, percolators and Bodum coffee plungers that were kept for company. The decanters and smoked glass cheese platters with their clear domed lids stood there in the dark, silently, stubbornly, waiting for company, always threatening to be chipped or broken, the collateral damage of a processed ham, processed cheese and processed white bread sandwich. The domestic consequences of chips or worse, breakages would persist insidiously long after the repair or replacement of these avatars of a longed for but never enjoyed lifestyle. The mere presence of these things in our house promised my parents that one day they would, with practiced formality, be entertaining people who shared their aspirations, not the least of which was entertaining each other with practiced formality. It was always a fantasy. It was never going to happen. When my parents die or are put in retirement homes, the stuff will be laid out in a long row, and my brothers' wives will stand in an otherwise empty room and squabble over the choice bits, which they will mistakenly regard as valuable or as redolent of a time long ago, which they do not realise they are still living through. The rest of it will be sent to charities for distribution amongst certain types of people we were never to have anything to do with because they were different. In this way will the only objective manifestation of that difference be as the difference always was, non-existent. Arisably, my father's insistence on the distinction between these people and us has been the closest thing he had ever had to a calling, to a religion. On her wedding day, my mother took a vow of silence in the service of this religion, and the silence has extended to watching as the family was sacrificed at its altar. And yet, yes, the rain will be coming soon, my babies. Although it's starting to look like it's clearing up over there in the west. And yet, when I found myself living alone in a flat in my late 20s and into my 30s without any stuff, I noticed its absence. I did not merely notice it. I found myself bothered by it. I became viscerally aware of the voracious accumulation of things by the people around me, other teachers I worked with, or their friends, friends who had sprouted into couples, women I went out with. I would find myself in their homes or see into my neighbours' homes through their windows and notice the way people construct shrines from a whole variety of objects, shrines to some not otherwise articulated long-term view of themselves, which it is their ambition to resemble. It wasn't so much their stuff per se that I envied, it was this long-term view of themselves of which it bespoke. As a child, and certainly as an adolescent, I had been ashamed of my parents' stuff, ashamed of what it said about the future to which they aspired. Then, as an adult, I grew to be ashamed of my lack of stuff, and worse, ashamed of my lack of any discernible future. It's a terrifying thought. But I do declutter regularly, There's no point keeping things that you don't use. It's actually kind of insane. It just takes up space, usable space, suffocates and smothers and atrophies you. But then you have to beware not to fall into that other extreme, that minimalism extreme, where they want you to have nothing and be happy. It's also ghastly. You're allowed to have nice things, people, especially things that you bought yourself or that people gifted you. It's okay to surround yourself in aesthetics and beauty. It just becomes a bit insane when it starts bordering on hoarding and you accumulate so much stuff that you're never going to use, not in this lifetime anyway. I've still got stuff from my mother that I really should move that energy on, but it's exquisite stuff and people won't give me what it's worth, and I also hate wasting things. I got rid of a lot of stuff during the COVID years because it was just all meaningless and empty, and I was convinced I was going to die sooner or later, and I don't really regret getting rid of the things I got rid of, though. I've still got plenty left, and as I say, it's memories from my mother, and it's just kind of empty in a way, because I had to fight so damn hard for the little bit I've got, and it was a form of torture that went on for years, and so ultimately, material possessions are just another trap, another hollow victory and another trap. And having been divested of the equivalent of 4 houses and my financial stability, it's what good is a few trinkets lying around the house? They break or they devalue, or it's pointless, people of Earth, utterly pointless. No discernible future. Only my little fantasies of finding a truly loving partner one day, and even then it's ridiculous. But anyway, he continues. Maybe my father recognised this. How had the youngest son come to have so questionable a future? Questions were an insult to him, an apostasy. Maybe that's why he hated me. He had worked for the same bank all his working life. He had started as an office boy at 15, worked his way up to a teller, and eventually to managing a local suburban branch. He never questioned bank policy or the implementation of initiative after initiative, reforms, they termed them, that saw him lose staff as though bubonic plague was being pumped out of the air conditioning vents. He never questioned head office when they shifted him from branch to branch. And when they told him there would be no more transfers anywhere, when they said no, he didn't question their description of his downsizing as retirement. Write this down. Have you written this down? Alex wanted me to keep a journal and to fill it with as many of my thoughts and reminiscences as time would permit. It wasn't my incarceration that made him suggest this. It was one of the things he said to me when I first went to him for help. He said everyone ought to keep a journal, that it was conducive to better mental health. I was unconvinced. It's actually an excellent way to keep track of a dying Western civilization. I write some small bit of thought processing or emotional stuff each day on my Facebook status updates. I also share my weird little spiritual encounters or messages that come to me, at the risk of looking mad to the uninitiated. And well, you're mad and my mad, not quite the same thing, people of Earth. And what else do I do? Of course, I can't put too fine details and things because it's shared with my friends, and some posts I make public if I feel that it might be beneficial to some random person out in the world that might stumble across it. But yeah, it's very therapeutic to keep a journal. Keeps track of things, especially when life is very bizarre and strange and a bit distorted, and you start wondering if you really are a revivified zombie and you're actually dead in this paradigm and no one told you, or if you've actually gone sane. It saved me during the COVID epoch, being able to look back over my writings and go, I predicted this or intuited this years ago, years before it was finally unleashed on our world. But that comes with reading, lots of new age and spiritual and sci-fi, horror and occult books and philosophies. It fucking saved my life, people of Earth, in more ways than one. It really did. But yes, keep a journal. You only have to write a little bit each day, 10-15 minutes. And if you don't want to share it with anyone, you can keep it private. And that's perfectly okay too. And if you don't like any of what you've written, if it's just so awful that you just don't want to keep that energy, you can burn it. But I did burn all my handwritten journals and put them into digital media, but now I kind of regret burning them, to be honest. But they were cluttering up the place. It was just too much storage needed for all the, the little notebooks. So, but yes, put pen and paper or store things digitally. Pen and paper is better actually, because if the internet should ever go down, we lose all our journals that are stored digitally. That would be a great tragedy. So that's why I say try to have printed out versions. I started printing out the month of October, and even reading through the little things I've written. I mean, some of them, some of them are a bit odd even by my standards, but I read it and I go, that makes sense now. You don't always realise at the time what it is you're channeling or picking up when you're in the flow of writing and putting it down onto paper or in my case, in my Facebook status updates. So let me repeat that. Alex wanted me to keep a journal and to fill it with as many of my thoughts. I know I read that whole paragraph, sorry. No, I'll read it again. I've lost myself. Sorry, I dissociate sometimes, I have to bring myself back. Alex wanted me to keep a journal and fill it with as many of my thoughts and reminiscences as time would permit. It wasn't my incarceration that made him suggest this. It was one of the things he said to me when I first went to him for help. He said everyone ought to keep a journal, that it was conducive to better mental health. I was unconvinced. Yes, I had read that paragraph. Deja vu, people of Earth. Surely people's incoherent, internally contradictory mental detritus is hardly worth chronicling. He's wrong about that. It can be quite illuminating at times. You'd have people less engaged in life and more engaged in the contemplation of their navels. Not only that, but it elevates egocentricity, the pursuit of the personal instead of the common good. Is there any part of that you believe he had countered? I'm not really sure. What is there to recommend it? Why do I recommend that you chronicle what you call your mental detritus? Sorry, Alex, I know it's your stock and trade, but are you quite finished? Sorry. Writing things down often forces people to clarify their thoughts. Indeed. Helps you sort the chaff from the wheat and helps you work through when you've been lied and deceived for a long period of time too, either interpersonally or governmentally or systemically. If you don't write things down, you don't have evidence, people of Earth. Evidence. Really? You obviously don't read contemporary literary fiction. That's not what we're talking about, Simon. Sorry? Please, I interrupted you. Not always, but sometimes seeing one's fears written down, seeing them articulated, can reduce their efficacy. I don't mean that having them before you on a piece of paper causes them to evaporate, but it can lessen their potency. You can go back and see that something that worried you deeply 6 or 12 months ago turned out to be a trivial problem or no problem at all. You can see before your very eyes how often worry robbed you of the capacity to enjoy the good things in your life, when in retrospect, there was objectively nothing to worry about. To rush these birdies in soon. I keep saying that, don't I? But it's creeping up upon us. The weather's creeping up upon us. Am I worried objectively? No. It's very grey skies. Very grey skies, and it's cooled right down. And if you can see that historically your fears were as a rule unwarranted, you can then extrapolate to the present and make the reasonable assumption there's a high probability that you're unreasonably anxious now. Auto-immunisation against anxiety sounds like a good title for a self-help book. That's the other advantage of writing everything down. You can turn it into a book. I bet that's not infrequent. What do you say about it promoting egocentricity, promoting the pursuit of the personal rather than the common good? You're kidding, right? Am I? Let's hope you are. Okay, why am I? Simon, look at the world. Never in Western history has there been less emphasis on the common good. What did Margaret Thatcher say? There's no such thing as society. Right, I see it in healthcare. Neoclassical economics, that is, free trade, and the rush to ever cheaper labour, deregulation, privatisation, the abandonment of government to the market. It's now sold under the feel-good euphemism of globalisation. Has been rampant for the last 20 years. People, not yet unemployed, are shivering in their shoes for insecurity indeed. They can't plan for their retirement. They can't plan for their children's education. They can't plan for next week. This book was written 20 years ago. It's worse since then. And all the while, they and the untold numbers already unemployed are being made to feel inadequate because of it. This is great, Alex. You sound like me. Simon, you can't for a moment think that this massive erosion of the common good can be blamed on people who keep journals. Do you keep a journal? Yes. Not just for your professional notes. I mean a private journal, a personal record. I know what you mean. Yes, I keep a journal, and it hasn't led me to care less about the common good. Indeed. Thus concludes Chapter 10 of Part 5 of 7 Types of Ambiguity. It's getting very cool indeed. I'm going to rush my birdie boys in before the weather turns foul, excuse the pun, or inclement. Have a beautiful afternoon wherever you are in the space-time continuum, and I hope you enjoyed this rather philosophical story, very grounding in some ways, reminders of how far we've come and how far we still have to go. Anyway, blessed be from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm.